Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Chase Franks. Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Curtis. And good morning, everyone else who will be watching this throughout the day. We're going to just dive into the details of what you need to know about this potential tropical system. So, right now, things are looking fairly good for us in terms of tropical development. Here's a live view of what we're expecting. Tropical outlook still at 40% over the next 7 days, really 40% over the next 24 hours, 48 hours. Right now, Invest 93L, nothing too impressive, nothing to call home about. It is starting to gain a little bit more strength well off to the west. That cluster of storms is looking impressive. There is that low, but it's not necessarily spinning a lot. There's a lot of turning at the lower levels, not necessarily at the upper levels, though. So we have winds at 10 miles an hour, winds at 30 miles an hour of the actual system, but it is moving west at 10. In terms of pressure, it's pretty high pressure for a tropical low. We want it to get down into the 900s before we actually will see a lot more strengthening with that system. So we'll continue to monitor that. But this is a look at the scenarios ahead. So we talked about this yesterday with the multiple scenarios, and I've been talking about it all morning long, that we do have potential to see it gain strength. It's gone on that weaker track. It obviously moved through much of northwest Florida, and it will be making its way through the panhandle throughout much of the day today. That's what the models are really saying. So we are expecting it to stay on that weaker track. I just want you to be aware that if it does go on that more southern track, it could be a bit stronger. Good morning, Debbie. Hope you're having a great start to your day. But no matter what, the forecast models, a lot of them are showing that we will be seeing it right along the Florida Panhandle, back into the coast of Mississippi and Alabama, the landmass, as some people call it, and then back into mainly beelining towards the New Orleans area, back into coastal Louisiana. That's really where we're going to be seeing the biggest impacts, as well as southwestern Mississippi. Right now, that is what we're looking at. Obviously, that can change if it does beeline out more so into open water. Could see it gain a little bit more strength, but this is what it's looking like live on our satellite radar. Again, it is kind of impressive whenever you look at the actual turning. You can see the turning going on there. So I do think it is likely that we could see a name storm. However, the threats of it look to be continuously diminishing. So we'll get more details in throughout the day today once we actually see it sort of develop as it moves off to the west. The most recent models do have it further off to the north and west into the day on Friday. Why did that thing just update? Okay. For some reason, it's just freaking out. There's a look at Friday afternoon, though. We are expecting more widespread coverage of some storms into areas south and along I-20. Some of those storms could be fairly strong, even severe in some places. So I want you to be aware of that as we will be tracking out this system riding along the Gulf Coast over the next couple of days. So the worst part, I think, is the flash flooding. We could see some areas see rainfall totals upwards of 2 inches or more in some isolated areas. The further off to the south that you go, the more upwards of up to 4 inches you can get. Let me zoom back out so you can kind of see. Yeah, you see along the Gulf Coast as well as mainly central Louisiana. This is just one model's opinion that has that system actually making landfall and getting a little bit more strength into central Louisiana. So take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, just because all the models are saying something different. If we see this thing gain a little bit more strength and moisture, well, we could see higher rainfall totals. So there's a lot of question marks, a lot of what ifs going forward into your first alert forecast. I'm going to show you all the potential flash flooding for the day today. It mainly stays along the Gulf Coast, back into New Orleans, Biloxi, the Panhandle, Mobile. Into the day tomorrow, it stays there. It just strengthens a little bit. And then Friday, it looks to be the day that shows biggest concern with Lake Charles all the way to Baton Rouge, up into areas just outside of Alexandria, Louisiana, being under that moderate risk. And then you have Natchez, areas south of Jackson, along the I-55, I-20 corridors being under that slight risk for Friday. Saturday stays well off to the west of us, but still looking at the potential for some flash flooding here at home. So we looked at this model yesterday, the wind field, and it basically showed a hurricane hitting the Gulf. And that's why I told you take it with a grain of salt, because again, we're not seeing any hurricane force winds going forward from the system right now. Obviously, there is some potential to see some tropical storm force winds. I do think that is likely. that we could see some winds, some tropical storm force winds, especially. This model has it going out to sea a little bit, then veering back into much of central Louisiana, making landfall around. Oh, I think that's Lafayette. I'm trying to remember. There's nothing on there, so I'm trying to like remember off the top of my head. I think it's around Lafayette that it'll make landfall, based off of this model. Obviously, subject to change. I just want you to know that that's what we're tracking. Otherwise, here at home, it's going to be hot. We do have a heat advisory in effect for the day today, so make sure you do plan accordingly for that. Practice heat safety. But that's all I really have for you. We haven't had too many updates, too many changes. We'll be the first to let you know if something does change and if we will see the potential to see Tropical Storm Dexter. So we'll let y'all know if that does happen. Right now, it's still Invest 93L, but that's all I got for you right now. We'll have more details and more updates for you throughout the rest of the day today, live and online in your first alert forecast.